What's up everybody, Chlorine King here. Thanks for tuning in for another video. This video is going to show you my process for cleaning a pool from start to finish. Really excited to show you some tips along the way to how to be as efficient as possible so you're not spending all day back at a pool. So let's go ahead and get started. So this part here is about to be boring, but the reason I want to show you this is once I get my chems loaded up, I'm going to go ahead and walk back to the backyard. Now for the sake of this video, I already cleared a path and opened all the gates and all that kind of stuff just so I can hold the camera as I do this. But want to show you an important tip, for a couple tips actually, when you first come into the property. So the first thing I like to do is try to have my cart pretty close to where I come in so I don't run the chance of dripping chemicals all over the deck. So for instance, like if I went all the way over there, for instance, you know, that could have an issue, more likelihood of me dragging chems across the deck and staining it. So nobody wants to do that. And then the other tip I want to show you is the first thing I do when I come to any property, I go ahead and dunk the chems into the water. Again, just to wash off any residual and limit any possibility of staining the client's pool deck. All right guys, so before we get started on the process, I just want to point out, you guys might be noticing I'm wearing something a little different out of the norm, and that is this fanny pack here. It is a 511 tactical waterproof fanny pack, and I actually have grown to love this thing because when you're trying to cram a bunch of stuff in your shorts, like especially when I'm wearing basketball shorts like this, you know, like knives, your phone, your keys, all that kind of stuff, it starts weighing down your shorts. And this actually takes that problem completely away. It's waterproof, so it's great when it rains. It's like it does in Florida every 5 minutes, so your stuff isn't getting all soaked on the inside. You know, I carry everything in here I need. I carry a knife, you know, some bandages in case I cut myself, my car keys, obviously, keys to the office. What else? And then the most important thing is I'm able to carry protection on me. I'm not going to brandish that online, but you guys can imagine what that is. So all concealed, very easy to carry, takes all the weight off your shorts, so on and so forth. So definitely worth looking at getting if you're hustling all the time and don't want your shorts coming down because you're so heavy and weighed down with junk you're trying to carry with you all the time. So really like that thing. But back to the pool. So first thing we're going to do today is test the pool. I do like testing first, that way I can add the chems, and as I'm cleaning the pool I'm helping distribute the chems and eliminating hot spots for chems so the clients can swim sooner. When you're testing the pool, I generally like to be in at least in the middle of the pool to the deep end. I don't care to test really in the shallow end. I want a really good water sample to be as accurate as possible. Because if your test sample isn't accurate, you're not able to add the correct amount of chems to make the pool balanced. It's why I don't believe in testing strips, because I can't tell the difference between 7.2 and 7.8 pH on the testing strip, so how do I know how much chemical to add, right? So it's very important to be as accurate as possible when you're testing the pool. And to go along with that, you don't want to be testing near any returns or anything like that. You want water that's currently in the pool and not being, you know, through the filter and through the salt system and all that, because that's going to throw your readings off. So in this particular pool, we have a shallow end return over here. We also have the spa spill over here acting as a return. And then we have might be tough to see where I'm standing, but we have a return off the bench in the deep end going that way towards the spa. So really, anywhere behind the skimmers is pretty optimal because we're getting a very accurate current water sample from the pool without it being mixed up from the filtration system chemicals. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and drop down here. You know, for my company, we do a full test once a month, and then we do a filter cleaning once a month as well, or as the filter's needed. If the PSI goes high, we notice a slack in circulation, all that kind of stuff. So everything looks good now. Today is not a full testing day, so our typical testing protocol for non-full testing days is chlorine, alkalinity, and pH, of course. So take your comparator block, go ahead and rinse it out a couple times, and then it's real important to go about 18 inches down, flip it up and now we got a full water sample. Now, I'm not going to get this on camera for you guys, but in the comparator block here, the water sort of curves. I forget the technical term for it. It escapes me at the moment. You want the bottom of that curve to be at the 44 mil line for the pH, and then the same thing over here on the 9 mil fill for the chlorine. So once you do that, go ahead and set it on the deck, and then you want 5 drops of the red, phenol red. And you want to hold a tip and to get consistent drops. You don't want to squeeze the bottle super hard. You want to sort of let gravity take over, and you want to hold the bottle vertical. You don't want to hold it at an angle. You want very consistent drops. Again, trying to be as accurate as possible. And then for the chlorine sample, we're going to take DPD number 1, same thing, 5 drops. And then the second part is DPD number 2. 5 drops. We're seeing pink, that's good. Now you take your cap. You want to rinse that off as well. Again, we're trying to eliminate contamination from other pools and whatnot. Now it's real important when you're about to shake this up, you don't want to aggressively shake it and cause bubbles, because that could actually increase the pH. It's wild, but it's true. So you want to be nice and gentle, flip it over a couple times so you see the color completely mixed throughout. Now, you never want to shine the block completely in the sun. That'll get your readings different. Generally, you want to look to the north, which is over there. I do have some trees, so I mean, I can look over here, and I can see I have a pH of 7.6 and a chlorine of 4. Or if you got like a white PVC fence, or like this deck is pretty light, you could also shine it here too and get a very uniform background. And you could even take like a 3x5 postcard and put it behind there as well to give it a consistent. And I can clearly see I got a 7.4 here and a 4 chlorine. So those readings are good. You want to mix the sample, you want to discard the sample further away, so when you're trying to reach for your next one, you're not grabbing some of that contamination. Again, just trying to get be as accurate as possible. Again, 18 inches down, flip over. And now we're testing alkalinity, which on the alkalinity we need the 25 mil mark. Now a quick tip I learned from my friend Robert, Clean Pools and Spas. If you tilt it, and the bubble along the top side of this goes to the bottom, it's right there at the 25 mil mark. I know you guys can't see it, but trust me, it truly works. Now we're going to go ahead and test alkalinity. So the first thing we put in is thiosulfate, which kills the chlorine in the sample to give us the accurate alkalinity reading. Since the chlorine's slightly high at 4, I did put an extra drop in, because if the chlorine is in there and it's not completely neutralized, it can throw off the alkalinity. You'll get like a blue color instead of the pink and green. That's an indicator of too much chlorine in the sample, so just put some extra thiosulfate in there and that should take care of that. Now we're doing 5 drops of the alkalinity indicator. Again, nice steady drops. See how vertical the bottle is? Again, getting very consistent drops to try to be as accurate as possible. Now this is a titration test sample, so we're going to stir this around. We're going to add drops until it turns from green to pink. And you want a nice bright pink. If it looks like a darker pink, you need to add another drop or two to get a nice pink color. So we have 11 drops in here, so the alkalinity is 110. So we have a chlorine of 4, a pH of 7.4, and an alkalinity of 110, which is pretty optimal. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, because remember, we need to add enough chemicals to come back to a chlorine reading. 4 is great now, but if we have a bunch of rain, a bunch of swimmers and all that kind of stuff, 4 is not going to last. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just put in a gallon of chlorine to get us through to next week, and then also, you know, a dash of acid, probably an eighth of a gallon, so that way, again, we're keeping that alkalinity in check. We've had a lot of high alkalinity rain lately, so if it rains again in the next couple days, which it's going to, we don't want that alkalinity to be through the roof. Now, a couple tips with the testing. If I come to a pool that has less than 2 on chlorine, I automatically test stabilizer, because either that's going to be low, or maybe the salt system is not functioning properly or whatnot. But if anything at a 2 or below on chlorine, I automatically test stabilizer. But because we had a 4 today, we're not going to worry about that. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is get the chemicals. So now, unlike testing near returns, I like to add chemicals around returns to help distribute the chemicals. And I believe in broadcasting the chemical, not putting it in one spot and creating a hot pocket of chemicals. So I'm gonna go ahead and just walk this around a little bit on the deep end of the pool. I'm gonna sort of walk it along that wall there, and just add the chemicals that way. Now, keep in mind, this can throw off some fumes, so be cognizant of where you're at in relation to the fumes, because it's not pretty to breathe. And obviously, the lower you get to the water, the less likelihood of having fumes come up and get you. Add a little more. Now, another tip when you're adding acid, try to keep the chemical away from the light, because it can tarnish the light ring, turn it black a little bit, just because it's so corrosive, because the pH is super low. So that's another tip for you there. And then again, once you're done, dunk the bottle to make sure you don't have anything left over on the jug to possibly stain the deck. Now we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the chlorine. We're going to add a gallon. We're going to broadcast it. And the likelihood of having a reaction pouring chemicals on top of chemicals is very minimal, but why take the risk? So I like to add the chemical in a different part of the pool. Again, always in the deep end. Again, I'm just broadcasting it. And then again, as soon as I'm done, I go ahead and dunk the jug. Now I don't have to worry about staining the deck as I drag this along. All right, guys, now that we have tested the pool, we have added the chemicals, now it's time to go ahead and actually physically clean the pool. The first thing we're gonna do is skim, and I usually do 2 laps the first time, and the reason I do that, the first time I'm pretty aggressive with making the water move around and try to knock stuff off the tile, so that way that second lap, I can get the majority of the debris off the surface of the pool. So let's go ahead and get started with that. And of course, you want to skim the spa as well. See how the water's really moving around? That's a good thing. That means that water is climbing up the tile and knocking stuff off. I even have some water tipping over the bullnose tile, which shows me that I'm definitely causing enough movement in the water to do what I'm needing it to do. Now that we got the first lap done, now we're going to go ahead. I picked up a floating toy, throw that back in. Now we're going to go ahead and just do the, get all the fine stuff that's now off into the water. Be a little more gentle this time, so you can try to capture as much as everything as possible. That way, when we go to do the final skim at the end, there's really not anything to really skim. You're just sort of what I call polishing the water surface. See, the water surface is starting to calm down a little bit. I'm able to actually see all the fine stuff that is on the surface. And when choosing a net, I really like this Purity Pool fine mesh net because this captures a lot of the finer stuff. It's not ideal if you have an outdoor pool, in other words, unscreened, and just have a metric ton of leaves, because this thing will get super heavy very quickly, because all that's, you know, the finer it is, just like the vacuum bags, the less water that can pass through. So there's more resistance, which means weight, at least with the skimming. So these are perfect for screened in pools to really make the surface look fantastic. So the surface looks really good. You can already see the pool starting to really shimmer. That's a great sign. Now the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is vacuum. We want to vacuum before we brush, because we don't want to kick up anything on the floor from brushing that we need to get up with vacuuming first. So come right here to my little workstation. Get the Riptide ready. Get this thing rocking and rolling. So generally with the steps, I vacuum all the steps except for the top one, because there's generally not enough depth of water to make the vacuum work properly. So like I'll do this little bench here. I'll do this bottom step. And now I'll start vacuuming the pool. Now, I've experimented throughout the years a lot of different ways to vacuum the pool. What I normally do is I pick like a tile marker, or if they have floor returns, a floor return, so I know exactly where I started. And the method I like to use, if the screen allows me to, and if it's an outdoor pool, it really is irrelevant because you can stick the pole up as high as you want. The best method I found is to actually be able to go all the way across the pool, if you can, in one swoop. The reason why, you know, when I first started, I was vacuuming half the pool and working around and doing half the pool at a time. You know, during pollen season, especially when the debris is super small and moves very easily from any disturbance underwater, what I found was when I took the vacuum out, stopped halfway here, I'd work my way around, and then by the time I get over to the other side, all the pollen and stuff is already kicked up over there and I can't vacuum it. So then it's suspended in water. So then you really can't get that unless you're just going to spend 6 hours with the nets, you know, in the middle between the surface and the floor, getting all that stuff out. And then you run the possibility of the client complaining and say, hey, you're just here and my floor's dirty again. Well, it's because all that junk resettled. So that's why I really like the idea, if the space allows, to just do vacuuming one time, one swoop all the way across, back and forth. Now, you see me, I'm manipulating the pole because I am coming close to damaging or going through the screen when I pull this thing all the way back. So you just want to make sure you're cognizant of where this is so it doesn't poke a hole in the screen. But this is the most effective way I've found to get all the debris and make sure that nothing gets kicked up and suspended in the water when you are cleaning the pool. Now, you see I have my foot on the skimmer lid. You want to be careful and very cautious. If you feel your foot hit that skimmer lid, do not put pressure on it. You can crack it. And so, you know, I was stepping on it, but I didn't really have any weight on it. It's just something that you grow to realize when you step on it. oh crap, let's not put weight on there, because I've cracked my fair share of skimmer doors, or skimmer lids in the past. So we're just gonna keep going. Now, one thing about our company, we're not a spot vacuum. I mean, this floor is pretty much spotless as it is now. A lot of companies would not do what I'm doing right now and just do what they call spot vacuuming, where they'll only pick up, like there's a piece of debris over there in the shallow end that I'm going to get here in a moment. But don't be that kind of company. If you're telling your clients you're going to vacuum the pool, vacuum the damn pool. Now again, for the sake of, now I'm coming up on the sun bench here, it's always, because you got to think this riptide is kicking water straight up. So when you come up to a surface that is taller than what you're vacuuming, you generally want to pick up the vacuum and vacuum that part first before your vacuum gets near it, because the water can actually kick the debris off, and then you got more debris suspended in the water, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go ahead now, vacuum this sun bench real quick. Now that's clean. So now I can continue to, well, the camera overheated, so I cut off the rest of the vacuuming, but effectively I just walked around, I vacuumed the spa, I did the bench first, then the footwell again, because I didn't want to knock debris off if I did the footwell first and then suspend that debris, and then I just finished around the pool, and that was it for the vacuuming. So now we're gonna go ahead and do brushing. There's two different ways you can do this. Now, there's one way where you do just the tile, then the walls, and there's one way you sort of do both at the same time, which is more efficient. I'm gonna go ahead and show you both. So the first way is just to do a walk around with the tile. It's very important to make sure the brush is angled and not straight up and down, because you will miss some of the tile, which I'll show you on the wall there that's a little taller than the rest of the tile line. So it's very simple. You just angle the brush and you just walk around like this. Now you can see if I had the brush straight up and down like this, I'll be missing this entire top half of the wall. And when you have a wall like this, you want to be super disruptive of the surface. Do the spillover. So that's one way to do the tile, but then you got to do the walls. The way I'm about to show you now is a lot more efficient. You do both at the same time, but it's only if you do it right. And what I mean by that is, don't be one of those idiots that brush here, take 3 large steps, and then brush here. Not only did you just miss all that tile, but you also missed all that wall. Brushing is one of the most important things you can do. Another tip too, I found it's a lot easier. The energy you spend with muscle brushing at an angle, to me, seems a lot less than going straight up and down, because you get a lot more resistance when you pull up on the brush when it's straight like this versus when the brush is angled. It sort of pulls through much easier. So the method I do, I get way up here in the tile, and I'm doing both at the same time now. But notice, I'm brushing every square inch of this. I'm not taking huge steps and missing a whole bunch of it. When I pull the brush out, I brush the tile, then I push down. And so it's a process that'll make you a lot more efficient and save you time. So now that I showed you that, let me go ahead and start. I always like to start at a landmark, so I'm gonna start at the steps. That's what I do with all my brushing, just so I know where to start and end. It's always important to pick a landmark when you're starting something. That way you know where you've been and where you need to stop. So I do the tile above the top step, brush the top step. Now I'm doing the wall of the bench, doing the top of the bench. Now I'm doing the wall where your feet go to the radius in the floor of the pool. Now I do the bottom step. Now everything past on this side of the handrail is already taken care of. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go through and do the entire pool with that brushing method I just showed you. And it's not a super fast process because, again, if you're doing it right, you're not done in 2 minutes. Now I'm here at the bench, doing the wall of the bench where your back rests. Now I'm doing the seat. Now I'm doing the wall that goes down to the floor, so that way every part of the bench has been brushed, including the tile line as well. And now I just continue on. Now it's important to be careful around lights. Don't want to pull those suckers out of the wall, which I've done before, so I'm usually very gentle around the lights. I brush the lens, the ring, everything. Then I continue. Now here with this wall having a lot more tile, you'll see I'm splashing water up, then brushing as I come down. Again, just doing the same process to make sure I'm brushing the tile and the wall at the same time. It's important to make sure you feel that brush hit the radius, the curvature part from the transition from the wall to the pool or floor. I just stop right at the spillover. Then I do the wall and tile. Do the top step. Now I'll just go ahead and automatically transition to the bench. So I basically do 3 circles around the spa. Now I'll do the wall between the bench. Now I'll do the vertical part of the footwell. And that's it. 3 quick laps and the spa is completely brushed. Now we're coming up on the handrail. We know that we already did everything to the opposite side I'm at now. So now I'm gonna do the wall of the bench. Go ahead and do the bench itself. Now I'm gonna do the wall going down to the radius of the floor. And again, I just do the bottom step as an extra goodwill. So now we're done with brushing. All right, so now that we're done with brushing, all that we have left to actually physically clean the pool is the final skim. This is where I call polishing the surface, which we're gonna get all the small debris off that's left over, which really isn't much. And we're gonna do the same thing. We're not gonna do aggressive passes because we just knocked everything off with brushing the tile. So there should be 0 debris on the tile at this point. So now we're just going through half of the pool at a time. And again, you just want to try to get every square inch of the surface of the water to make sure you're maximizing how clean you're making the pool look so clients are happy. And again, I stop at the spillover. Now I'll do the surface of the spa again one more time. And there, we're done. So the pool is pretty much 100% right now, but what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just do one final pass. I'm not even gonna really have my net in the pool unless I see debris, just to make sure we captured everything we possibly can. Oh, see, here's a little speck right here. A little bit right here. It's important, sunglasses really help with this, seeing debris, because you don't have the light coming off and hitting your eyes as hard, reflecting off. So it's always good to have polarized sunglasses to help capture any debris or anything like that that might have been missed with the naked eye. All right, so that is it. So I'll take you a trip around the pool, show you what it looks like. You can see this thing is super polished. It's shimmering like crazy. It's just a perfect pool. It's well balanced. It's very clean. There's not any debris anywhere in this pool. Circulation is great because we're staying on top of the filters. It's just a wonderful looking pool. You can see the spa is nice and clean and sparkling. Just makes the clients want to use their pool, which then they appreciate you more because you're making an inviting atmosphere for them. Now, you guys watching this might have noticed I haven't done the skimmer yet. So the skimmer's the last thing I do. I do this first before I go over to the equipment. And the reason why, you don't want to do the pump basket first. Here's the equipment. Yes, I know, a typical Florida small filter. I can't stand it as well, you guys. But it is what it is down here. I can't install everybody's equipment. Go ahead and shut the timer off. Now we're going to go over to the pump. Just empty the pump lid. I'm going to try my best to do this one-handed. There we go. Not even anything really in here, but again, which I expect because it's a screened-in pool. But at the end of the day, you're still having to put on the show for the clients and do everything you're supposed to do. There we go. So now, come back over here. Turn the timer back on. Now what I like to do while I wait for the pump to prime is just double check and make sure the valves look right. It's the spa main drain's closed. The spa, let's see, the waterfall's off, which is great for pH control. The bubblers for the spa are off and the pool returns on. So everything's the way it should be, which is great. Pump's starting to prime up. Now we'll go ahead and bleed this filter out. Got water shooting out. Cinch it down until it's closed. And that's it. So this pool is completely done. All it's left to do is fill out the report. And so I'm going to take this time to walk you through what I take pictures of. The first thing we do is we take a picture of the nice clean pool. That's self-explanatory. Take a picture of the spa. Show that's nice and clean. Take a different angle of the pool, the deep end, for instance, to show there's no debris down here. And then over here at the equipment, we're going to take a picture just of the overall equipment, show there's no leaks. We're going to take a picture of the air bleed and show that that is closed and not leaking, so they can't say we left it open, so on and so forth. So that is it in a nutshell. All right, guys, so that is cleaning the pool from start to finish my way, the Chlorine King way. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a little bit with the tips and tricks along the way to be more efficient and save as much time as possible, but still doing a fantastic job. The pool behind me is spotless and looking fantastic, ready for the clients to go in a couple hours, and really looking forward to having them enjoy their pool. So like, share, subscribe, stay tuned for more videos. Check the links in the description below, and I hope you all have a great day. Stay cool out there. It's 10,000 degrees outside. See you guys for the next one.